If I want to fall asleep and I can't get to sleep at night, I'll put in a John Fitch fight.
Seeing a young fighter become a star is one of the joys of MMA fandom, so you forgive promoters for getting carried away when the next Conor McGregor arrives on the scene. This is a list of fighters given big matches well before they were ready, with some having a catastrophic effect on a long-term career. What did I see? And these are 5 MMA prospects pushed too soon. When he burst on the scene in 2014, Yair Rodriguez had all the hallmarks of a potential superstar. After winning the Latin American version of The Ultimate Fighter, Rodriguez embarked on an 8-fight winning streak of flashing kicks and highlight reel knockouts, and was cited by UFC President Dana White as a key figure in the company's Mexican expansion. After a one-sided win over BJ Penn, Rodriguez took on former lightweight champion Frankie Edgar at UFC 211. Edgar pressed the action early in the first, with his technical boxing trumping Rodriguez's wild strikes before scoring a takedown in the middle of the round. The answer continued the press in the second, taking the fight to the ground once again before raining down heavy punches and elbows until the horn sounded. Rodriguez was unable to answer the bell for the third, a doctor stoppage giving Edgar his 7th win in 8 fights. The fight would be Rodriguez's last in the UFC, released in May 2018 after turning down a match with Zabit Magomadshapirov at UFC 227. Rodriguez is unsigned at the time of recording and currently holds a record of 11 wins and 2 losses. Media darling Paige VanZant knows all too well the scourge of overpromotion. With good looks and an all-action style, VanZant joined the UFC with much fanfare, and wins over Alex Chambers and Felice Herrig soon had her earmarked as a potential contender in the strawweight division. In only a 4th UFC fight, VanZant headlined her first show against Rose Namajunas at Fight Night 80. Namajunas was ranked 3rd in the world and also touted as a potential champion, but that didn't stop VanZant from entering the match as a -150 favourite. Namajunas, however, would dominate proceedings, opening up VanZant in the first and leaving the youngster fighting off submission attempts for the remainder of the fight.
Oh, she's going to try to overhook it. Oh, look at that elbow. How about Paige VanZant escaping again?
A bloodied and broken VanZant would finally succumb in the 5th, as Namajunas secured a V-naked choke in one of the most one-sided main events in UFC history.
There it is! So Rose Namajunas finishes the job in a main event for the ages. What a fight between these 2 strawweight contenders tonight.
VanZant has gone 1-2 since the fight and is currently attempting to rebuild her career at flyweight. One of the biggest old-school examples of a fast-track fighter involves Ultimate Fighter alumni Nate Quarry. Quarry appeared on the first season of the show back in 2005, emerging as a fan favourite before ankle issues forced him out of the competition. Upon his return, Quarry scored first-round knockouts over Shawnee Carter and Pete Sell, earning himself a middleweight title shot against Rich Franklin in UFC 56. Quarry became the first tough contestant to ever fight for a UFC title, but it would prove to be his sole highlight of the night, as Franklin dominated the first round with heavy striking before finishing with one of the most brutal knockouts in MMA history.
Again on the button, out, and down goes Quarry. Cold, wow. A first-round knockout is how Rich Franklin retains his belt.
Quarry went 4-2 following the fight, before a succession of injuries forced him out of the sport altogether in 2012. In 2014, Quarry, along with 2 other fighters, filed a class action lawsuit against the UFC, alleging that the company participated in practices that hindered fighters and their careers, so don't expect them at any family reunions anytime soon. It takes a lot to be hailed as Brazil's next MMA superstar, but that was the hype surrounding Eric Silva heading into UFC 153. After a 12-1 record in regionals, Silva joined the UFC in 2011, where his aggressive all-action nature saw him claim his first 2 wins in the opening round. After a submission win over Charlie Brenneman, Silva faced jumping quality against former title challenger John Fitch. Despite losing his last fight to Johnny Hendricks, Fitch was hailed as one of the toughest fighters in the welterweight division, and was seen as too big of an obstacle for the highly touted Silva. Fitch used superior wrestling to gain the upper hand in the first, until a lapse in concentration in the second gave Silva an opportunity to turn the division on its head.
John's trying to separate those hands. Eric has it tight. This is trouble. They're going back. John Fitch is in trouble. He's got to separate those hands. Trying to choke him out.
Fitch managed to escape the hold and from then on never looked back, dominating a one-sided third on his way to a unanimous decision. The fight would be the high point of Silva's career, alternating wins and losses in a decade hampered by injury woes. Silva hasn't fought since December and currently holds a record of 19 wins and 9 losses. Sometimes, however, a fast-track match can be the making of an MMA legend. When he arrived in the UFC in 2004, George St-Pierre was earmarked as a potential champion, and dominant wins over Jay Hyven and Caro Parisian only helped add to the hype surrounding the French-Canadian. Despite the plaudits, many were surprised when GSP was booked into a title match against welterweight legend Matt Hughes, many considering the match to be too much too soon for a man with just 7 pro fights to his name. GSP, however, started the fight strongly, executing the first takedown of the match and troubling Hughes with a spinning body kick in the middle of the round. Eventually, however, Hughes' experience would come to the fore, ending the fight by submission with a second remaining in the first round.
Matt Hughes with a submission, and it's all over! It's all over! Matt Hughes with a submission victory! Bang! Armbar over! Matt Hughes is once again the welterweight champion!
GSP would later describe taking the fight as a mistake, admitting that he wasn't ready for a fighter of Hughes' caliber and that his awe for the wrestler helped affect his mental preparation. The loss would be the turning point of GSP's career, a 7-fight winning streak seeing him rematch Hughes at UFC 65, winning in the second round and helping to set the stage for one of the sport's all-time greats. And now time for a few honourable mentions. Brandon Thatch was once considered the future star of the welterweight division, until he ran into Benson Henderson. Jason Bright's career was much less so after his first round loss to Ricardo Lamas. Someone thought it was a good idea to put Priscilla Cachoeira against Valentina Shevchenko. This guy probably. This is the INC. Thank you for watching.